Hi, I'm Desiree, and I'm here with Dr. Jen Ahdout at the Roxbury Institute. She's a board-certified dermatologist, and she also happens to be one of my close friends.
Lucky to call you one of my close friends.
Oh, me too. I'm so blessed.
After all these years.
I know, and now we're like adulting, and we're here, and we want
colleagues. Now we're colleagues.
Now we're colleagues. So I'm so excited to be here. A lot of people have been asking me about my skincare routine and what I do with my makeup and my skin, and I thought who better than Jen to get us to talk about skincare. Your skin is like gorgeous. It always looks flawless, and I've been doing like different skincare routines and really trying to figure out like what's the recipe for amazing skin. And I wanted to ask you, one of my first top questions is, if the viewers out there, if they had one product that they had to use and no other product, what is the one product that is essential and vital for anti-aging?
So that's a great question, because in this day and age with Sephora and Ulta and everything that's available, there's a host of things that you can really get buried under. So to focus on one or maybe two big things, number one, without saying, is definitely sunscreen, because we know how much the UV light damages our skin, can lead sunspots, lead to skin cancer, and to fine lines and wrinkles. So anything else that we mentioned would be wasteful if you don't use sunscreen. So number one would be sunscreen, and then we get questions a lot about what kind of sunscreen. So you want to use physical sunscreen. So that means that it's like a shield and it blocks the sun from kind of penetrating your skin. So those are zinc and titanium based products. So you want to avoid anything in the ingredient line that doesn't say zinc or titanium. So that makes it more simple. Another word is mineral. If it says mineral sunscreen, that's very good. The second runner-up is retin-A. Okay. So retin-A does a few things. So first of all, what is retin-A? It's just vitamin A. It's a natural product.
It's a fancy way of saying it.
Everyone's looking for something natural. So it's vitamin A, and it does a few things. It helps with cellular turnover, so it makes the cells grow up and fall off faster. So when you get that dead skin to come off, that gives you a glowy appearance. But it's not just that. On a deeper level, downstairs, it's helping to build collagen, and that's really the fountain of youth, retin-A. There's over-the-counter versions that are retinol, but the
is that with an O or an A? Because I've noticed there's a difference.
So O-L, R-E-T-I-N-O-L, retinol.
So what's the difference between the one with the O and the retinol with an A? Because I've seen both.
There's also retinaldehyde. There's so many different derivatives, but there's only one retin-A, and you know that because it's by prescription. Okay. So everything that's over the counter, retinol, retinaldehyde, needs to be converted by your skin into retin-A in order to work. Okay. So what happens if a lot of that stuff doesn't make that transition? Well, it sits on your skin, and it irritates the hell out of it.
Oh, wow.
So why not take the prescription grade active form and put that on there? Okay. So that's why whenever possible, we prefer to use prescription grade, because it's the active form.
And if somebody doesn't have access to come to a dermatologist, or just really doesn't have the time, or whatever is blocking them from getting the prescription, is there a specific brand or a specific product that's non-prescription that you would recommend?
That's a great question, and I'm going to give you a big secret right here. Okay. Differin, or called adapalene, the 0.1% used to be by prescription. In the last 5 years or so, it's gone over the counter.
Oh wow, it's amazing.
So differin, or adapalene, 0.1%. But the way that you put it on is very important. So what you should do is, after you've washed your face at night, you'll prepare a green pea-sized amount. You divide it between your forehead, cheeks, and nose. You want to avoid under your eyes, corner of the nose, and corner of the mouth. Once you've spread it everywhere, you put moisturizer over.
You have to wait. I heard that you have to wait like 5 minutes for it to absorb.
Maybe 1 minute.
1 minute.
Not 5.
And then what about the neck? Do you not go down to the neck?
So ideally, we love to use retin-A on the neck, but our neck is not as tough as our face, and it can get dry really easily. So to start off with, I wouldn't, but maybe you can graduate.
Okay. And do you recommend going like right into it every single night or
No,
gradually?
so that was the
Okay.
second part of the instruction, which is to do it every other night for 2 weeks. And then if you're okay, every night.
Okay, amazing.
You have to be careful with sunlight, waxing, lasers, or peels because it makes you a little bit more sensitive. You're losing that natural dead skin layer that's kind of an umbrella.
Okay.
So you have to be very careful with the sun. That's the biggest thing to watch out for.
Okay, so users beware.
Users beware. You heard it here first. Because some people will use it and be like, oh my gosh, I got sunspots. Well, the reason is because you weren't being careful and you left, this raw, beautiful, bare skin exposed.
Right. So one of the big things with sunscreen, going back to sunscreen, is I feel like the reapplying is so challenging because it only will give you coverage for what, an hour and a
40
half or
to 80
2?
minutes. That's right.
So what I've learned is there's like powder ones that I can just put over. I don't feel like it works as great, but it's at least something so that your makeup kind of doesn't get ruined with it.
So the challenge for us ladies is that once we put our makeup on, we don't want to put the cream over it.
Right.
So for primary application, meaning in the morning when you wake up, you've washed your face, I really insist upon using a cream kind of sunscreen. But for touch-ups, these brushes are actually really good.
Okay.
The one that I can attest to is Color Science because they've done a lot of studies. And of course it's at a higher price point, but it's because they've done the research.
It's probably talc-free because
I believe it is talc-free.
okay.
I might have to double check on that. But you reverse the brush, you tap it twice, and if you do 2 circular motions like this all over the face, they have shown that you get coverage.
Amazing.
So 2 times, circular motions everywhere, great for touch-up. Another positive is throw it in your bag, leave it in your car. It's not gonna
That's
melt.
what I do. I leave it in my car.
Because it's a powder. So that's a great way to do it. But I wouldn't recommend using that for your primary.
Of course,
just for the touch-up.
But can you go in the sun if you have that after using the Retin-A? You're fine in the sun.
If you're careful, it's okay.
Yeah. So I just started using Retin-A and I have seen a little bit of a difference, but like I'm always carrying a hat with me.
That's
a hat or a visor. So
I always say leave a hat by the door, leave a hat in your car, leave a hat in your office. I have a few hanging in by my door right now. So you have easy access, grab and go.
Okay, great. And then again with the sunscreen, I'm going back to the sunscreen because I know how important it is. You said it's your number one. There's all this controversy. Some people are saying there's chemicals in it and that can be carcinogenic. So do you think that if we just use like a mineral, like you said, zinc oxide, then we're safe and it's not carcinogenic?
Yes,
okay.
I think it's safe to say that. There was a lot of studies where they've shown that putting on the chemical sunscreens, after some time, there's traceable levels in your blood. I don't think that the jury is out on this one, and we don't know. Maybe it's not dangerous, but I think for the time being, if we stick to the mineral zinc and or titanium, that's the safest way to go.
Okay.
Especially for women who are pregnant, you don't want those chemicals running through your body.
Of course. Oh, and then the Retin-A. What age do you recommend that people start using Retin-A?
Great question. I think 20s is a great time.
Oh, wow.
I think I started in my mid-20s when I was a derm resident.
Wow.
And I think that that's the best way to do it. Of course.
Martha Stewart, she looks amazing. And when they interviewed her, they asked her, like, what's your secret to the fountain of youth? And what stuck out to me is that she said Pilates and green juicing. So do you find that nutrition and fitness, is that a recipe in having beautiful, youthful skin?
So that's a good point. So now a couple decades ago, I did a meta-analysis study where we looked at many different studies, kind of grouped them together. And in the end, fruits and vegetables that have a lot of antioxidants are great for your skin.
Okay.
That's really important. Staying hydrated, very important for your skin. Exercise has a different mechanism, but the improved blood flow and actually sweating and releasing toxins, that has a big role. Since you're on that topic, I will also mention there's a lot of data that shows that using the sauna is not just good for your skin. I think we knew that, but can also delay dementia.
Oh wow,
and heart disease.
I didn't know that one.
So that's a great one. It's a little uncomfortable to be in there too long, but we say 10 to 15 minutes a day can really have some really good effects on your health.
That's awesome. And then just hydrating with the water.
And then hydrating back and forth.
Yeah.
Take your water with you into the sauna, right?
Okay, that's amazing. So the Fountain of Youth sounds like exercise, healthy nutrition, sauna, and retin-A, and sunscreen, and water, and hydrate.
Water's free. I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta go for the free and easy stuff
Easy.
first. Water, sunscreen, it's not free, but low cost, and retin-A to start with, right?
Okay, amazing. Awesome. Is anything else we want to talk about? Oh, I have another one.
Acne and nutrition.
We could talk about acne and nutrition, and then one other thing that we can talk about is, so there's also promotion for you, is if there's like one procedure that you recommend for anti-aging.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's do both. So which one should we do first?
Do the procedure.
Okay.
I remember what you did.
Okay. So I'm here at the Roxbury Institute, where you guys do all kinds of different things for skin and beauty. If there is one thing that you recommend that's perfect for anti-aging and looking youthful, that's not a product, but is actually a procedure,
A treatment
a treatment,
that everybody can benefit from.
let's say everybody, but I think has the least downtime, is the most effective, and will help with anti-aging, because I think that's what everybody's looking for, is the Fountain of Youth.
You're really putting me to the test today.
Yeah.
I love this. So microneedling is a treatment that's really one size fits all. Everybody can benefit from, and that also everybody is a candidate for.
Oh,
So
wow, okay.
it's a device that we use, and it's got tiny needles at the end. I can adjust the depth depending on what part of the face that we're doing. And you're creating these micro zones of injury. That injury stimulates your body to build collagen as a reaction, which helps with fine lines, pores, and many of the signs of aging. The downtime is really minimal. You leave the office looking a little bit red, and you might be dry in the ensuing days, but after a few days, you're kind of back to normal. There's not much limitation. You can exercise, you can go out, but it might require a little bit of makeup. So everybody can benefit from it. There's not one person who can't. Dark skin, light skin.
Okay, great. And how often do you recommend that? Is it case by case, or is there like a certain amount of times a year?
So if you are addressing a concern that you feel like you are aging and you want to kind of take things back, you may do a series of 3 to 6 treatments. But if you're doing it for prevention and anti-aging, once or twice a year is sufficient, actually.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then let's see, what's the acne or biggie?
Oh yes, okay. So was it nutrition for acne?
Or maybe you can say like, so I'm curious to know, a lot of our viewers may be suffering from acne. Aside from products, is there anything that they can do in their lifestyle?
Okay. So you should interview me.
So bad, Biggie. You caught a bad knee.
No, I know. It's just,
or you could say that there's a little bit of an overlap between our fields, between nutrition and skin as it pertains to acne.
our viewers out there are suffering with acne, or we get the occasional breakout. For all kinds of people who either are suffering from acne or get the little breakout here and there, the age-old question is, does nutrition play a role, and can we change the way that we eat in order to prevent breakouts and help with acne?
And the answer is really absolutely. Our skin is a reflection of what's going on in our gut. So a lot of studies have shown that high carb foods, this is your field, but maybe for the viewers, sugars, rice, pastas, and breads, they stimulate insulin and insulin-like growth factor. And that causes our pores to release more oil, and things can get jammed up. The pipes get jammed up. So those foods are not great for us. Fried foods, so like French fries, fried chicken. It's the stuff that you think of that's not good for you, right? But like vegetables and some low glycemic index fruits, though, are great. We do believe that dairy that's hormonally treated could also cause you to release things to stimulate oil production. So those are to be avoided. So organic would be a good way to go. The other age-old, I'm going to borrow your word there, thought is that chocolate. Does chocolate lead to acne? It's different in different individuals, so case by case basis. If you notice that you eat chocolate and you break out, don't have chocolate. It's a hard one to give up.
What about like dark chocolate that doesn't have added sugars?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's just is it the cocoa?
Yeah.
It's not a matter of the sugar. It's a matter of the cocoa. Okay.
Yeah. But that's again a hard one to give up.
Right.
But always, you know, this is again your field. I don't want to step on your toes, but darker is better.
In this case,
darker is better.
And it has antioxidants. So
yes.
Antioxidants also lead to more glowy skin.
Yes.
So
actually, in that study that I worked on a couple decades ago, we looked at the flavonoids and some of the stuff in chocolate as being good for your skin.
Right. So it sounds like the age-old saying that you are what you eat really is you are what you eat.
Yeah.
So what you're putting inside, you know, it's reflected on the outside as well.
You're looking at what you eat.
Exactly.
You know? You can't hide it. There's no hiding it.